What's going on, Wacky Cat? Listen, I'm gonna be honest with you, and I have to say this, and I have to be honest. I really do miss, and a lot of you have said it in the comment sections. I've seen it as far as the WWE 2K games. You know, you heard me say in my last video that WWE 2K19 and WWE 2K23 are evenly matched. I still believe that, and I keep saying it because the reason I'm saying this is because there's certain aspects of 2K23 that was not in 2K19, and now and there's certain aspects of 2K19 that's not in 2K23. But I really do miss a element in 2K19 that's no longer two elements, two main elements that's no longer in that wasn't in 2K22 and 2K23. The chain wrestling. The chain wrestling is not in 2K22 or 2K23. The chain wrestling made it more realistic. It's wrestling. It's a wrestling match. You think they have chain wrestling. And for the life of me, I really thought about it. Like, why did they get rid of the chain wrestling? They had chain wrestling sliders to determine how often the wrestler chain wrestled for 2K19 and other past games. But they completely got rid of it in 2K22 and 2K23. That's an element that I really miss. Will it ever come back? That's the question. Will they ever bring it back in a new installment? I don't know. I really hope they do. They really need to, because it's an element that makes. I think. I don't know if it's just. I don't know why they did it. Maybe because they. I'm just speculating. Did it slow the game down? Did they want it to be fast paced? Because the chain wrestling slows the game down, and famously 2K15 had the longest chain wrestling ever, and hey, that was too much chain wrestling. It was too slow. But 2K19 and 2K17 and 2K16 had the chain wrestling, and it was at the right pace, and there was nothing wrong with it. Another thing that they got rid of that I really wish they didn't get rid of. A lot of you guys, let me just say this to add on to what I'm saying. A lot of you guys have been talking about my WWE 2K23 sliders, the different sliders. And a lot of you keep asking me, what do I set the settings on, or the balance sliders to make the wrestler not kick out of my finishing move? And I've been trying to come up with the right combination, and I can't. They're always going to kick out of your finishing move almost, unless you put the game on easy mode. In legendary mode, I found it personally. At least if somebody else knows this recipe, let me know, because I'll try different combinations. But if it's on legendary mode, you do your finishing move on a wrestler, your opponent, even if the wrestler is rated at 70, they kick out. The special thing about 2K19, and I wish they bring it back with 2K22 and 2K23, is the squash match sliders. The squash match sliders was probably the most underrated element of these 2K games. And probably, and there's speculation why they might have got rid of it, because really nobody really paid it attention. I want to tell you something that the squash match sliders did that maybe that y'all haven't paid attention about it, that was in 2K19, 18, in the past games, that's not in these newer games. The squash match slider made it so if you, and I said this before, if you was, okay, you Roman Reigns rated at 90, okay, Roman Reigns was rated 100, right? If WWE 2K23 might have had the squash match sliders, if he was facing a superstar that was rated 70, the games of the past will make it so once he do his finishing move, it's over. It's a squash match, and you can determine how often the squash match happened. I turned my squash match all the way to 100 when 2K19, so it made the matches more realistic. It made the matches make sense once you do your finishing move on this. Now, it made sense because if you do your finishing move on a Brock Lesnar, if Roman Reigns did his finishing move on Brock Lesnar, realistically, Brock Lesnar will kick out because Brock Lesnar is a powerful superstar. But I think what a lot of the frustration that people are seeing here, including myself, is that when your powerful Roman Reigns spears a 70 rated superstar, he kicks out. Or Superman punch him, he kicks out. And I'm trying to figure out what combination do it. And here's the thing. I just really wish they bring the squash match sliders back, man. That erased that problem. And the theory that I had with 2K23, and I tried it. What I did was, because of the tendency sliders, these are the new the revolutionary aspects of 2K23. Each WWE superstar, the AI has tendency sliders of how often they do certain moves. So I experimented. I put a lower rated wrestler. I made him real low rated, and I turned all his tendency sliders down to 0. Even the pin mechanics, whatever. I think it was a pin something. I don't forget the name. And I do a finishing move on it with the high rated superstar, and the lower rated wrestler still kick out. Now you can still beat him. Of course, the lower rated wrestler with the tendency sliders all the way to 0, and he can't do nothing. He getting stuff reversed constantly. Of course, you're going to win the match. But the problem I'm having that made the tendency slider so viable is that once you do your finishing move on the dude, he's not kicking out. Can the squash match sliders in the Chain Wrestling work with this new hit different style? I don't know, but I really hope 2K24 brings it back. But here we go again with talking about the next game, the next installment. And it's the little gripe that I have is that they take stuff that we love out of certain games and might bring them back the next game. Like they keep taking stuff out, taking stuff in, taking stuff out. I mean, the only new thing that I can think of they can possibly do to the gameplay is add the chain wrestling and add squash match sliders. But nevertheless, 2K23, I really do miss those elements. I really do. But nevertheless, I still enjoy 2K23 very much, and I still think it's one of the top 2K games ever made. WWE 2K games ever made. I want y'all to understand what I'm saying. When I say I'm strictly talking about WWE 2K games. I'm not talking about the old game, Nintendo 64 game, wrestling games, or the PlayStation. When it comes to that, and my nostalgia, love for No Mercy and Here Comes the Pain and other games like that, it's ranking a little lower. Even 2K19. Mainly because it's nostalgia factor. The nostalgia factor, even though the games of today are better looking and play better, if you will, somewhat different mechanics, the nostalgia factor alone at that time won't allow me to rank even WWE 2K19 over WWF No Mercy. I can't do it. Now it's in the top 10. Maybe in the top 5, and 5 being WWE 2K19. Now 2K23, I put it in the top 10 of wrestling games of all time. And that's speaking values. And that might be on the lower, probably like 9 or 10, because there's so many great wrestling games, so many nostalgic value. Not even WWE games or WWF games. I'm talking about WCW games. I'm putting, if you're going to have a list, you got to put all the wrestling games, no matter what promotion. But when I'm talking about top games, I'm talking about WWE 2K games. I'm not saying better than ever made. No. I want y'all to get that. I want y'all to understand that. Because I think some of y'all saying I'm saying 2K23 is one of the top wrestling games of all time. I'm not saying that. I'm saying from 2K games, because WWE 2K has been the only shop in town as far as wrestling games been concerned. So you really can't judge off any other. But now AEW Fight Forever coming out soon, so maybe they can compete. But That's going to be a fresher breath of fresh air too. AEW Fight Forever, whenever that comes out, because we really, want to change it up. But yeah, chain wrestling and squash match sliders needs to return. You're not going to, in my opinion, these are my opinions. Like I said, every video. In my opinion, you're not going to have the greatest wrestling game of all time if you don't have chain wrestling. The critics are saying this WWE 2K23 is, is one of the best games. I will say it's one of the best. It's one of the best wrestling games we've had in a long time. But when I start bringing up 2K19, then we're talking about, okay, well, that's one of the best 2K games of all time too. And there's elements of that game that need to be in 2K23. So I don't want to be discouraging saying, oh, 2K23 don't got this, don't got that, because I don't. But as me playing the game, as I go back and play 2K19, I went back and played 2K19 WWE. And I'm like, wow, man, look at the chain wrestling. Chain wrestling. I love the chain wrestling. And look at the squash match. I'm Roman Reigns and I'm fighting Bo Dallas and I beat him real quick. I did the spear or watching the AI versus AI, whatever you want to do. And it looks more realistic. The matches look more realistic. Oh, well, the turn of events in WWE 2K19, the turn of events look more realistic, like, well, this could really happen. With 2K23, the graphics look real, but like if I'm Roman Reigns and I'm fighting a low-rated wrestler, I'm like, okay, wait a minute, this wouldn't really happen in real life. This weak jobber guy is kicking out of the spear. That wouldn't really happen. But the matches can be longer. You can have a very, very long match, and that's an element that I love. So there's advancements, and the AI tendency sliders I keep talking about. They are very innovative thing too about 2K23. So I still believe 2K23 is one of the top 2K games, 2K23 game, 2K WWE 2K games. And I say they evenly match, because I really can't. I'm actually like the love of 2K23 is still. I'm still bonding with the game. I'm still having fun with the game. The fun factor keeps growing. With 2K19, my fondness has led the test of time. So I'm really not confident. Me personally, I know a lot of you guys believe differently, but I'm really not confident personally on a personal level to say 2K19 is better than 2K23. I can't say that. Though what I said is what I said. I do miss the squash match and the chain wrestling. The amount of hours I put in 2K23 and the fun factor and the interest in the created wrestlers and all types of new elements they have put in the game, I'm not that confident to say that. And I can't say 2K23 is better than 2K19. I'm more on the side of saying 2K. I'm more or less on the side of saying 2K23 is better than 2K19. If I was to go ahead and choose one, I would just say 2K19 is better than 2K23. If you made me choose one, like hurry up and choose, but I'm not that bold enough to say that. But a lot of you guys got y'all opinion, and y'all pointing out great facts about both from the comments, both issues that one doesn't have. Some is 2K19 doesn't do this like 2K23. 2K23 doesn't do this like 2K19. And I don't know, man. And the reason I keep making these videos is because I mean, like, man, why do certain elements? Why can't 2K23 have the squash match sliders, man? It's a head scratcher. Like, why wouldn't they put that in there? if that, at times I get confused as to what exactly WWE 2K, what it, in my opinion, what are they trying to make here? Are they trying to make a realistic wrestling game, or are they just trying to make an arcade style wrestling? I mean, what are they trying to achieve here? And I mean, could they be going off the fans' feedback? And our majority of the fans, I have a little community here on my YouTube channel that likes what I talk about, likes simulation, but it's the majority of the people saying, no, we like the arcade style. We don't like chain wrestling. We don't like squash matches. We like Mortal Kombat. Hurry up and beat the dude. No selling. No. I'm just trying to figure out what. I mean, but that's why I give 2K23 so much praise, because they pushed back. Appears to be like 2K22 was fast paced, boom, boom, boom. 2K23 brung back the elements that I like, but they haven't brung back the full elements. They brung back some of the fatigue, even though it could be better. The selling, even though it could be better, they brung it back. So I have to cheer them on, because hopefully 2K24 can go back full force with the slow simulation, like 2K19, but not as bad as 2K15. Now, 2K15 was probably the most boring. Listen, 2K15 was probably the most realistic of them all, but it was too slow. The chain wrestling was slow. The moves were. I'm like, okay. 2K15 made me realize, okay, we don't need to go too realistic. Okay, we don't need to go too realistic. I'm gonna be fair with that one. So we need to meet somewhere in the middle. Okay, not too fast, not too slow, not too realistic, because it's gonna be like, okay, I'm going to sleep here. But they tried it. They gave us the super realistic, and I keep, super realistic is taking too long. I don't want to take all day playing a wrestling game for one match. This chain wrestling, the guy coming. But nevertheless, that's just how I feel about the matter. Yeah, hopefully, guys, let's just hope. Well, the next wrestling game is coming out, hopefully. And I hate to bring it up, that competition, but AEW Fight Forever. And I can't wait to start, analyzing that game. AEW Fight Forever, how awesome that will be whenever that comes out. But right now, I will, even though I'm griping about the elements that's not in 2K23, 2K23 is a definitely banger. It's a fun game. Well, anyway, I'm Wacky Cat. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and I'm out.